Hey, church. We're excited to have an interview today with Lee Allen. We've been doing these all this week, talking to different members from the church. It's really fun to be here in person with some of our church family. And as we gear things back up for church services, we wanted to expand our devotionals a little bit to look into the lives of what it's been like for some of our church family. And so, Lee, excited. Thank you for taking time out of your workday. Can you tell everybody a little bit of who you are, who your family is, how long you've gone here, everything like that?
Sure. My name is Lee Allen, and my wife Kenna, and I have two kids, Alden and Turner, that go to church here. My mom and dad also go to church here, Richard and Doris Allen. They moved to Conroe in 1971. I was born in 1973, so March 30th, 73, so I've been coming to church since April of 1973. My younger brother, Chris, and his wife, Reagan, and their son, Miles, also come to church here. So my family's been part of it since 1971, and we really enjoy it.
Yeah, so Conroe Church here is really a family operation for you guys. It's been part of your DNA. Like you said, you were probably a week old in the pews here, well, not here, but at Fraser Street. Before we get too far into things, you grew up here, as you mentioned. Is there a memory from your childhood or teenage years? It's always fun to talk to some of these people who've been a part of Conroe Church forever. What stands out from growing up in the Conroe Church of Christ?
There's several things. One's the relationships you form with people. There are people here at our church that have seen me basically since the day I was born. The Phelps, the Reeds. There's lots of different families here. So there's a lot of things. But when I was a kid, Bible Hour was something that really stuck out to me. Really loved the puppet show as a little kid. You had Alan Phelps and Mike Pickle and the Owens and the Herricks and the Pickles, and it's just a lot of fun. Also, growing up as a teenager in the youth group, some of the things very similar. Enjoyed Trek, enjoyed Camp Bandina, but I think most of all it's the relationships, the people that were involved in my life, not only at church but outside of church, that really made a big difference.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword when people have known you your whole life. And in some regards, it's great because you have those long-term family relationships. On the other hand, you can't do too much or else you get in trouble, and everybody's kind of your mom and dad. And so you have a lot of disciplinarians around, but ultimately it probably helped you walk the straight and narrow a little bit more than you would have otherwise. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, Lee is an elementary school principal. As you can imagine, coronavirus has thrown a wrench in school plans, near and far. Lee, what are some of the challenges that you guys have faced in dealing with this whole coronavirus?
Yeah, so, one of the keys to our school is relationships. Relationships with teachers, relationship with students and parents. That I would say that's at the very top of the list of things that we really value. And so leaving for spring break and then not being able to get back together made it very challenging. So I would say not being together, and then working out plans with teachers while you're not together also. It just completely changed the way we do things. I will say our teachers did an amazing job, really stepped up, and they kept that focus of how do we reach out to kids, how do we reach out to families, still feel connected to them.
Yeah, any business, like the church, any business where relationships is central and foundational, it's so difficult when you can't be together. That cuts out a core part of what you do. And so I know y'all have had trouble, but you've worked hard to try to find ways to keep that going and to keep some sort of continuity there. Have there been any bright spots or unexpected wins for you guys through all this?
Sure. Visiting with several families just on the phone or as they come by to pick up some items from school. A number of families have commented, while it's been very challenging, very difficult, they've enjoyed their time together with their family, time that they just regularly wouldn't have. And so, to hear that, it makes you feel good that they value the sense of family, being together. Something else that stands out is our use of technology. We're in a world that uses a lot, and, sometimes we struggle to stay up with that. Well, we were forced into a situation where we had to figure it out. And it really helped us. I think it'll be things that we really take going forward in the future, whether it be recording things for kids who are sick or being able to communicate between classrooms. There's a lot of different things that it'll open up for us in the future that otherwise we just wouldn't have had the time to do.
Yeah, you know they say, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention, and so it forces you to learn things. One of the greatest moments of the coronavirus for me was we had an elders meeting on Zoom, and you can imagine, knowing some of our elders, including your
Yes.
father,
Yes.
how counterintuitive it is to think that we could get everybody on Zoom chat. But we were able to through quite a bit of practice and testing. I know that y'all have had to think outside the box. I'm glad to hear that there have been some wins, especially time at home with families. Besides just being a principal, you're also a parent. You have two students in our youth program, two teenagers. One of them is Alden, who's a senior. We just honored her a couple of weeks ago on our senior Sunday. Has there been anything you and Kenna, I know she's missed out on a lot from her perspective, but what have been some of the things that you as a parent of a senior feel like you guys have missed out on?
Yeah, there's several things I think about. One, Alden's played varsity tennis for College Park for 4 years. We've thoroughly enjoyed that through the years. We enjoyed, both of them, their athletic careers from, probably starting age 5 and soccer and t-ball and baseball and basketball and all the different things they did. Little did I know, I believe it was February 14th, Valentine's Day, was the last time I saw Alden play. It was there at College Park, so I was able to get over there out of school and watch her play a couple matches. And didn't know at the time that was going to be the last one. So we knew, there was probably 3 or 4 more tournaments, and you knew it was coming to an end, but for it to stop abruptly like that, really missed out on it. So.
Has there been, on the flip side, on the positive side, has there been anything that has happened that maybe wouldn't have happened otherwise that's been really special to your family, celebrating Alden in this time of transition?
The biggest thing, Ken and I talked a little while ago about that, and I think the biggest thing we came up with is just the time together. We're so busy in life and doing things that, I guess realize now that they're not as important as maybe I once thought they were. So it shut down the stress of school. Conroe ISD did a great job really trying to focus on, families taking care of their needs and being together as a family while providing, some education along the way. But just being together. So, when I say I missed tennis and all those things, it was no more practice. And Turner, was running and busy with that. That's one thing I'll point out, too, with Turner missing out on. I know he had a goal of reaching top 10 for the mile to make it on the wall up there at College Park. And he was just within about 3 seconds. And he really had that as a goal. And I know that was very, disappointing for him because they didn't get to complete the season. But all those things that are fun and we've enjoyed, just the day-to-day grind of school and the pressures of trying to make good grades and your parents, breathing down your neck about grades, all that stopped for a while. And so I would say just the time together, especially with Alden being a senior, headed off to Abilene in a few months. We've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and how great for her and Turner as well, that brother-sister relationship. A lot of times you squander those last moments together, and so for the two of them to get to have special time there. I know that's been something I think a lot of us will look back on is the time we got to have with family, which is normally spent scattered all over the place, especially when you have teen kids who are so busy, have so much going on. So every family, every parent is having to make decisions about how and when and where and what of friendship and being together and things like that. How have you and Kenna? I know it's not a one-size-fits-all. Lee's not saying any other way is wrong or right or anything like that. But with those difficult decisions, how have you and Kenna made some of those decisions together?
Yeah, I would say first of all we talk together. And every family's different. Everybody has a different a comfort level. We try not to be too far one way or another. We try not just to let them go anywhere, do anything, and us do the same. And we also try not to, constantly stay in our house with the door locked. So, we talk about it, and there's been different things that come up. Matter of fact, just yesterday, they went down to the beach with some other kids in the youth group, and we talked about it and, decided to let them go. But really, you don't want to put yourself or anybody else, at risk, but we know anytime we do go out, there is some risk that's associated with it. But really, it's in God's hands, and I believe that. And me worrying and stressing, which I still do, I struggle with that. There's no doubt about it. But you try to make good decisions for your kids. And I'll say this: you pray a lot more. That's another thing that's come out of this is a lot of prayers because you're not in control anymore, and it's scary for you. So, but yeah, Ken and I, we communicate well on those things, and try to let them get out and do, go down to the park and play some basketball or whatever it is, So
Definitely. I don't know if you're anything like me and my wife. We have days where we feel like, you know what, we should probably try to rejoin society in some way, shape, and form. And then we have other days where we're like, close the blinds, shut the door, lock it. We don't want to see. So, we alternate. And I don't know if there's any logic or reason to it all the time. But we just, it's so many emotions. But yeah, I mean, so as parents, it's one of the things that's staring in the face of every family is how and when and what. You and I were even talking before we started recording about the school districts are going to open up at some point, and what does that look like? I won't make you talk about it because there's so many unknowns. I'm sure you don't want to say much either way there, but there's so many decisions in front of everybody. Prayer, I think, is such a wise thing to root yourself in because above all, like you said, God is in control, and ultimately we've got to give things over to Him and trust that He's going to guide and direct us in the places and the ways we need to go. We need to seek His wisdom in all those situations. Last question. If you had to pick one way, speaking of God and the way He works, if you had to pick one way that you've seen God work in your family or through close friends, through all these circumstances, what would be one thing you could say that would be a situation where you've seen God?
I was doing a little research, and of course the verse I keep thinking of is Psalm 46:10. And I kind of stole some thoughts from a guy named Joel Ryan. I thought that summed it up pretty well. So the verse says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth." So, the be still and know that I'm God is the first part of it. It's very important, but it does go on beyond that. And what he says, it's easy to be fearful when things aren't going well and we're faced with challenges and conflict in our life. In the midst of the struggle, however, God tells His people to wake up and recognize who's on their side. In that light, the tone of this verse can be read: stop striving, stop fighting, and stop trying to do things on your own. Stop stressing about the battle ahead and trust in me. Wake up, I am Lord, and I'm your refuge and your strength. You have nothing to fear or worry about when I'm with you. I will fight your battles and deal with your enemies, so get out of my way. Step back, open your eyes, and acknowledge who I am and what I can do. Let me be God, and don't try to do my job for me. Be patient, be still, and let me go to work. So, I really like that, and I think that's the thing is a family that has stood out to me is spending so much of days trying to be in control and having things you have to do, whether it's help run a school or help your kids in sports or academics or and the struggle is so many times is that it's what can I do? What can I do? And so I would say that's the thing that really stands out at me is just God is there and He's going to take care of us, and we just have to get ourselves out of the way. And sometimes just stop and be still so you can hear what he's saying. So,
Amen. Well, it's going to be hard for me to have a better word than that. Thank you, Lee, for being here today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for everything you do for our church. Thank you for everything you do for your school and our community and the way that you raise Alden and Turner. I'm going to pray for our schools as we close out, for our teachers, for our students, for all the decisions ahead and all the uncertainty and all the apprehension and anxiety and everything attached to that. So I just want to close this out with that prayer. So will you pray with me? Dear God, we come before you today and we thank you for this day and for everything you do for us. Lord, I just pray right now over all of our schools. Lord, I pray for our administrators, that they will be guided by wisdom and your direction, that they will seek you, that they will pray and look to you first. For all the people who are making the decisions, Lord, that you will just give them wisdom to do the best thing, the right thing, that provides safety, but also is going to allow for education and for development of our young people. God, I pray for all the teachers that they will have peace, that they will know the path in front of them, that it will be clear to them, that they will see a way forward, God, that you will put the students on their hearts, as I'm sure that they always are, that they will be in prayer for their students and their classes. God, I pray for the families who are making difficult decisions about sending their kids to school and trying to catch up from time lost. Lord, I pray that you'll be with them, and also for the students, Lord, for the sweet children who have had their lives interrupted, who maybe fully don't understand what's going on, and who a school year together with their friends is so important that whatever that looks like, Lord, you'll just be with them, give them comfort, help them to continue to grow. And ultimately, if anyone doesn't know you, that something about this might turn them towards you. God, we love you and we pray all these things in your name. Amen. Conroe Church, have a great day.